Hi, I'm Elizabeth Beckley, and today we'll be painting a Void Shrine Kunoichi from Ninja All-Stars. I'd like to show you a couple of tools we'll use for this tutorial. First off, I've got this spool that I use with some tacky on it. This helps when I'm painting the miniature. I attach her to the spool so I can hold on so I'm not touching the base. I can prevent myself from touching any of the miniature. For now, we'll take her off for prep work later in this video. I have my paint brushes. I use Kolinsky Sable. The brand doesn't really matter. It's personal preference. Here I have a Winsor & Newton Series 7, a size 3. I have two other brushes by Scarf. There's a size 1 and a size 2.0. All of these are round. I also have some diamond tipped files that I use for my prep work. These are really great for removing mold lines, as well as a hobby knife, also good for removing tricky mold lines. I have my surface primer of just Vallejo is easy. It's a brush on, so I just use an old brush, nothing special. And then we move on to my wet palette, which we'll be using when we use the paints. And today I am going to use P3 paints. In these tutorials, we will be painting to tabletop level quality, which is the quality you paint for the model to look good on the table and able to be played with, as opposed to studio quality, which is usually meant for photography and display purposes. Now we're going to start working on the mold lines. Most miniatures have some mold lines that you can take care of, and it'll make your end product look a lot nicer. So I'll take my diamond files and there's some bigger mold lines here. It's usually easy to find the mold lines. Sometimes when you prime, you'll find the mold lines that you miss. For this one, I can take out my hobby knife and just gently remove the mold line here. Works best on flat surfaces. Basically look around the whole miniature, remove anything I can see. Looks like got most of them. After I remove all my mold lines, I want to take this miniature and wash it off so we don't have any of the residue left over from the sanding, and then I'll move on to priming. Now that we've got the mold lines removed from the model and we've washed the model off, we'll start priming the miniature. I use the surface primer from Vallejo. Any brush-on surface primer usually works for miniatures. And again, I'm just using a brush that's seen better days. I just start with one coat, and I'll let this dry and I'll add another coat. And I make sure I cover the whole model. Now we'll let this dry and we'll move on to our second coat of primer. I'll let my second coat of primer dry and then we can move on to painting.